I live in the roughest part of my town. I'm serious. You see the stickers all the time, the funny bumper stickers that say a little country, a little hood. That's me, but it really is me. I live in the absolute worst part of my town. There is nothing but blighted properties, abandoned homes. There are drug busts on our street on the regular. There are all of the bad things that you can imagine in our neighborhood. And so we decided to do something a little bit different than the neighbors.
Hey everybody, this is Ryan with the Farm2Table Direct Show. Still here live at Okie Homestead Expo 2025, Mays County Fairground, Pryor, Oklahoma, and I am joined today with Heather Butler with Hogs and Hens, Urban Farm, and the Urban Permaculture podcast. And right over here is the American Eagle hanging out with
Jay from Classic Monkey Business.
Jay from Classy Monkey Business. And monkey business is what he's about right there. Anyway, gotta love it. That's what got our attention. Walked by, seen the eagle out there dancing around, and we said, we gotta talk to I gotta know. So
There's been much debate today about whether he's a chicken or an eagle, and I love every moment of listening to them argue about chicken or eagle.
I get the eagle. Once I seen the beak, I got the eagle. I mean, it was like, but otherwise, I thought a chicken. So, I work in the chicken business, so it's okay. Anyway, so Heather, listen, y'all guys are all the way down from Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Right? And so welcome down here to the South,
Thank you.
You brought some of your wind and your with you, but
it definitely feels that way.
But anyway, so listen, y'all guys are a little different than most people who garden or homestead or permaculture, in that you're smack in the middle of a city.
We're not just in the middle of the city. I live in the hood. I live in the roughest part of my town.
I'm
serious. You see the stickers all the time, the funny bumper stickers that say a little country, a little hood. That's me, but it really is me. I live in the absolute worst part of my town. There is nothing but blighted properties, abandoned homes. There are drug busts on our street on the regular. There are all of the bad things that you can imagine in our neighborhood. And so we decided to do something a little bit different than the neighbors.
Apparently so. And I mean, talking about start where you are with what you've got. Now, so kind of set the backstory of how your husband and you, how he was there, but y'all got this started, and what this has turned into. Kind of share, get us set up on this.
Sure. So this started out, my husband and I both grew up with families that do a lot of gardening. We've always been really big into growing our own food. We got together, he already owned this home, but it just wasn't in a good way. It had a lot of weeds. It had chain link fence everywhere, which was an indicator. Why were there fences around everything? Why are there bars on the door here? I'm a little nervous, and then I'm sitting. I'm there the first day I go to visit him, and I no more than walk in the door, and there's gunshots outside, and I'm like, oh, I'm not safe here, am I?
Right.
And he said, no, you're fine. They're scared of me. And I'm like, oh, I'm really not okay if they're scared of you. Why are they scared of you? But then I learned they're scared of him because he does things that are a little different to them. So while they're out doing naughty things at 3 a.m., we're out planting flowers at 3 a.m. because it's not so hot and we have heart conditions.
Ah, well, there you go.
But the flowers weren't enough because flowers are great. They're important parts of the ecosystem, but they don't feed me very well. And so I told him I really wanted a garden. And, well, that kind of spiraled. So some squirrels took down our first garden. They ate it. They tore them up. And
pesky squirrels.
Yeah. So to rage war on the squirrels, we built an even bigger garden and said, I dare you to eat all of that. And then the garden, well, there's got to be more food that we can grow in here. And so I learned about permaculture, and man, what an adventure that's been.
Right. Now, I was talking with your husband earlier, and he was laughing. He said his garden was this, and your garden was this, and now several, properties of a garden. Yeah. Now, y'all have done something unique because, as you mentioned, you live in the hood.
Yeah.
You live in the rougher part and the dilapidated buildings. But y'all took a little different approach with that property, and in a way to acquire property to grow your gardens and grow your vegetables than most people would think normal. So what did y'all do?
Right. So, we live in an 1885 row house. Our house is really old. It is one of a row house. If you're not familiar with row houses, they're long, slender homes that are built kind of like a bowling alley, and they were side by side with about 10 inches in between each house. And that was just an air gap and a fire gap, essentially. Well, over time, because these were old houses and we're in an older part of town, they fell into really bad disrepair. Well, the disrepair let the people move out. Once a property goes vacant in our neighborhood, it becomes a flop house, a trap house, whatever you want to call it. It becomes a drug den, and that's exactly what happened. And 2 doors down was a meth lab, and and so when that went wrong, that property burned, and we acquired the land really cheap because who wants to buy a meth lab? Well, I do. So we remediated the soil with fungus. We love mushrooms around our property, and we've tested our soil, and we are good to go. And so we took what was a drug lab and we turned it into a permaculture food forest because that makes total sense, right?
Right. Well, apparently in Dayton, Ohio, it does.
It does.
And that is totally awesome. Now, he explained kind of the size of what y'all are at now.
Yep.
Which may not be a block where you live, but it's a block where we live. Okay. So I mean, but I asked him, I said, there's no way y'all are using all that. There's no way. And so he's telling me about kind of how y'all are working with the neighborhood to kind of help bring that neighborhood up.
Absolutely. So we don't just we have fences around our property. We have a lot of brambles and rose bushes on the exterior of the property because thieves don't want to climb a fence that's covered in thorn bushes.
That is a fact.
And again, we live in a rough neighborhood, so rather than putting barbed wire fences up, we just planted natural barbed wire. And so in front of the barbed wire fence, though, we had a beautiful green space to grow, and so we planted an orchard there, and we expanded our food forest out front. We have a lot of homelessness in our area. We have a lot of people who want and need access to nutrition. Yeah, they'll stand and panhandle, and people will give them money, and they'll get food, but the food that they can get is what they can walk to, which is the gas station. So they're buying gas station processed burritos. And people ask me, well, why did you plant half of your orchard out here where people can steal all your fruit? It's not stealing if I put it out there expecting them to take it. If they're hungry, I'd rather them take an apple than for them to go buy, a sodium-filled burrito full of preservatives.
Right. So spreading a little health, spreading a little love, and now he was telling me that as a result of what y'all have done, that y'all's entire area has begun to start getting better.
It is. So initially, when Bob bought the property years ago, our neighborhood was the worst. It was the worst of the worst. On the streets in our neighborhood, our street was the worst. But slowly but surely, neighbors that normally don't even talk to each other because everybody keeps to their own because you don't want to accidentally tattle on somebody. And so it's very much like you don't mingle with the neighbors. But the neighbors have slowly begun mingling with us. And so it's, hey, I've got this thing over here growing. Do you have any idea what it is? And that's always the gateway. It's always, do you know what this plant is, or is that a good plant? And then that gets us talking. And then from there, now the one guy's got a whole garden. Now he puts in an annual garden every year.
That is awesome.
The guy beside us, he used to grow drugs in his backyard, and I'm like, well, if you could grow that, you can grow tomatoes. They're both nightshades.
There you go.
And so we modified it. And so it's little changes like that. Folks that diagonal from us, the house literally has the words "Trap House" spray painted on them in January of 2022, and in May of 2022 it had been gutted to the studs, completely remodeled, and they put some beautiful landscaping out front. It's slowly but surely getting elevated,
and that is awesome. I mean, because that's the power that a little bit of elbow grease or a little bit of hard work and ingenuity and thinking outside the normal box, so to speak, can transform not just your property but now a neighborhood beginning to transform. So that's that. Now you have a podcast.
I do.
So obviously permaculture.
Yep.
So an urban permaculture.
Yeah.
So how often, where do they go? I mean, that kind of thing.
So my show is the Urban Permaculture Podcast. It is available on pretty much every podcast streaming platform available. We have a very, very tiny beginning of a YouTube channel.
That's okay.
Bob and I we got in a bad car accident. I broke my back in April of last year. So it's been a minute since I put out an episode. I have some on the docket to edit, but this took priority. So normally I release every Wednesday.
Okay.
But it's, like I said, it's been a minute, but I've got lots of stuff.
It does. Now I got to ask about Mr. Eagle over here. I got to ask about Jim. Now Jim does some different kind of stuff than y'all do. I mean, y'all are not what you would typically say compatible business.
This is Jay Crochet. He is my husband and I. He's one of our dearest friends, and I recognize that when we're roaming around doing speaking engagements and talking to people, there needs to be somebody to man the booth. And as Jay is an art dealer, it made sense that we would hire my eagle friend to get people's attention. It was really,
and it works well.
It does. It's really cold in this building. You guys can't see or hear that, but I promise you, it was really cold in here this morning. So he's got his costume on for fun.
Hey, listen, it
Stay
works.
warm.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because she's not lying. It was cold in here. So, Jay, why don't you tell us just a little bit about
Classic Monkey Business?
Yes.
Classic Monkey Business started 2 years ago. I hurt myself and wasn't able to carry on an 8-hour job.
Right.
So I decided that since I got, what it is, let's go out. I actually, the cutting boards that you saw at my booth were all from my house.
Okay.
I fell 3 different hackberry trees and 1 black walnut.
Oh, nice.
So everything that you see is, my little piece of the urban thing.
Right, okay.
And I've absolutely enjoyed it. And we do not only the crochet, we do the cutting boards, charcuterie boards. I also do metal art as well.
Okay.
And I'm a little shy when it comes to talking to people.
Well, now,
just warming up.
a little while ago I might have believed that, but no, I don't think so. Any man that puts on an eagle outfit and walks around here, shy is not the...
Fair enough, my friend.
But no, it's totally cool though, and especially that, friends got together.
Oh yeah,
and
100%.
So.
Oh yeah, she's the driving force behind all of it. It's like I say, her husband bought the property. She just made it pretty.
There you go. Well, somebody's, that's the nature of relationships. So do you live in the hood too?
No, I live outside.
Oh, okay.
I definitely come and visit though.
There we go.
He always checks his locks on his car though before he comes back inside, and always goes out at least once to make sure that a car is in fact locked.
I can listen.
That's the
He's
neighborhood I live in.
Smart guy.
Freedom, baby.
There you go. Well, listen, that is, like I said, again, finding something in the middle. You had something happen, and hey, now you found something where you can do things.
100%. It was one of those that got to a point where I didn't know. I had no idea, and somehow the hackberry tree literally just fell in my lap.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I milled it. Did all the stuff. You see the beautiful art that it is now.
And he does. He has some really nice cutting boards, and they're really cool, and it's good. And I have to admit, the crochet kind of threw me off, but our producer over here loves his pickle. So
hey, there you go. Sir J Crochet.
That's it.
TikTok and all that good stuff. Yes, sir. It's one of those that have fun with it.
Well, exactly. So man,
you go right ahead.
I know it. I know monkey business. I'm
classic monkey business.
Yeah. That worst word is the one that's getting me. Classic monkey business.
It's always classic.
You go find him, and you're out on all the socials, or you?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm just feeling it out. I'm really loving a few of them. Yeah.
Okay. Some are better than others. That's the nature of it.
Definitely faster.
There you go. Well, that's the thing. So hey, go out and search Classic Monkey Business.
Yes.
Find out more about what he does. He does some cool artwork and stuff, and is good friends with some good people that are doing a great thing in a neighborhood, not only for themselves and feeding themselves good food, but being a positive influence on a neighborhood. And all I'm telling you is, I don't care where you live. I don't care. You no longer have a viable excuse to not be doing something.
I'll tell you what, to that effect, I've got a guy that I helped to set up quail in his dorm room, in his college dorm room. So he is raising his own protein source in his college dorm room. They are his pet quail, and when they die, they are his pet dinner, and they are replaced by the eggs that he's kept from his pets. So every morning he's got fresh eggs from his pets, and he's got microgreens growing underneath his top bunk that he's lofted, and he's got grow lights, the little LED strip lights. He put little LED strip lights on the lats under his bed and is growing microgreens. So he has a fresh salad every day that he grew in his dorm room, and he's got quail because I told him, don't give me an excuse. I'll tell you why you can. People told me, they asked me, when are you going to move to the country and take take your farm and make it real. I said, what's not real about it? We grow 70% of our own food.
That is so awesome.
We almost completely feed our animals from our property. We do supplement with some locally grown feed, but not much at all.
So I'll ask you a question because, I mean, I know you're in a city environment and, you know, he said not quite, your husband said not quite the whole block.
Right.
So if you were to measure that in an acreage, what do you got?
We have just shy of an acre.
Just shy of an acre.
Started out with...
And there's a house on that, by
Yeah.
the way, too. So, you know.
We started out with an eighth of an acre that our property sits on. The house is on just shy of an eighth of an acre.
Okay.
And over purchasing the adjoining lots, you know, when people do bad things to them, we buy them and turn them into something else. And we're hoping to buy the properties behind us, which would add about another third of an acre, roughly.
Okay, so put you over the acre mark, and there you go.
It's going to allow me to add fruit trees, more fruit trees.
She just knocked it out of the park for urban, for small space, for maximizing everything about you. You know, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's a cool story, and that's why we wanted to talk to you, because, I mean, that is amazing. So where can they find y'all guys to keep up?
You can find us on about all the social medias. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora and Anchor, all of the podcasting platforms. And I am more than happy to help people. I have people messaging me at all hours of the night asking questions. I am more than happy to answer, and I answer as quick as I can.
Okay. So that's on the podcast side. On the other side, do you have a website? Do you have anything with it?
Yeah, you can also go to www.hogsandhensdayton.com, and it's Dayton.
So Hogs and Hens Dayton, Daton.
Dayton, yep.
Dayton.com. Okay.
That's right. That's
so
our
there you go. You can find them, check out their story, check out what all they got going on, and keep up with them. Yeah, there you go. We got director and talent over here going working together. But anyway, listen, we appreciate it so much. Y'all coming and sitting down with us. Love what y'all guys are doing. Keep up the good work. And folks, you can be a positive change, even if you're in a not so positive place. You can make a difference. And like I said, no excuses for small space or urban or any of that stuff. If she can do it where they're at and her friend can do it in a dorm room in college, you can do it anywhere. Okay.
Trust and believe. I love drowning out the sound of gunfire and sirens with chickens. There's nothing more enjoyable than drowning out the sounds of the city with chickens or eagles, whatever he is.
You decide. But anyway, all right, folks, listen, thanks for watching this. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and all those good fun things. Listen, we do something at the end of every show. And what we do is we say prepare for the unexpected and keep it local, and we drag it out that way. Okay, so that's what we're about to do right now. So, all right, everybody, this is Ryan with the Farm to Table Direct Show, sitting here with this great and awesome people who have just done so much in their community and are doing good things. Go check them out at Hogs and Hens Dayton.com. Okay, or the Urban Permaculture podcast on all the podcast platforms. Okay, you can go check those guys out. And as we say at the end of, we get out of here, as we say at the end of every episode, prepare for the unexpected and keep it local.